Fallout 3 has a lot of weapons in it. Some are better at close range, some at long range, some you use as traps, and others just flat out don't exist at all. But there's one weapon that is just the worst. Can you beat Fallout 3 with only a Chinese pistol? If you've seen my videos, you know that I don't make exaggerations, which is why you can trust me when I say that the Fork Barbarian plushie made by Makeship is the greatest plushie in the known universe. No matter what you ask of it, the Fork Barbarian is up to the task. It can defend your most prized possessions, protect you from monsters as you sleep, help you pack on muscle mass, keep you company while you wait for the holidays, calm you down as you lose it all because you bet on the Lions, take in a beautiful piece of art, talk you out of having another drink, and much, much more. But you've gotta act fast. The plushie is only available for 2 more weeks. If you don't order yours by October 5th for the incredible price of $24.99, your life will never be all that it could have been. The first thing you're gonna notice about this playthrough is that none of it is in English. That's because I didn't think restricting myself to a firearm would be enough of a challenge, so I killed 2 birds with 1 bullet by playing Fallout 3 with only a Chinese pistol and in a language I can't understand. Originally, I wanted to do this in Chinese as a funny haha because of the gun name, but that wasn't an option on Steam. It's probably for the best, all things considered. I'm sure I'm on a list after what I put in my Operation Anchorage thumbnail anyway. The Chinese pistol is in the small guns category and is based around agility, which is why I maxed that out. Luck also influences all skills. Intelligence is for as many experience points as possible, and I spread out the rest pretty evenly, except for charisma. Being charismatic is one of the worst values someone can have. Trust me, I'd know. Speech isn't the Frank Horrigan of skills in Fallout 3 like it is in New Vegas. No reason to waste any time with it. Speaking of wasting time though, the time had come for my 10th birthday party. It was an odd experience. I've done this part of Fallout 3 so many times that even when I couldn't see what the dialogue choices were, I still pretty much remembered what everyone was saying. It's strange to be able to navigate menus and make choices when you don't know what the language is. After failing to cut off Butch's head with a plate, I escaped the vile gaze of Beatrice Armstrong, got my BB gun, and made a decision. I'm not playing this as a child or a baby, so I'm going to kill the roach. But there was something I've always been curious about. To satisfy that quandary, I took my gun to the door, manipulated the universe around me, got myself into a situation you're not supposed to be in, and pumped the Overseer full of baby lead. I don't know what BBs are made out of. I wanted to know what would happen if the Overseer died early. He can't. He just has an aneurysm and takes a nap. But Stanley is around when you take the goat and during your escape. He's the perfect candidate for my bullshit. I popped his head like a raisin and nearly lost my mind. Stanley's hat is so f***ing cool. Ready to see the fruits of my labor and Stanley's life, I returned to the basement, shot the bug, got the greatest birthday photo ever, told Dad to take his stethoscope and shove it up his ass, and had my brain crushed. Stanley, that motherfucker, is back from the dead, and unfortunately, I couldn't kill him again. Someone who isn't me should see if it's possible to kill Stanley 3 times. Once as a child, somehow during the goat section, and again during the escape. Regarding skills, I went with small guns, obviously, medicine, and repair. I woke up, got a gun, watched Butch's mother get eaten alive as punishment for her son not being decapitated during my birthday party as the party's form of entertainment, snagged as much 10mm ammo as I could, and escaped. Before entering Megaton, I made sure to loot the hollowed out rock behind the city, bought stim packs from the doctor in exchange for my garbage, got the armored vault suit from Moira, and of course she didn't have a Chinese pistol. As I browsed the World Wide Web in search of a list of where the C pistol can be found, I went ahead and bathed in the glow of Adam's glory to get some easy experience. During that process, I decided to follow the main quest line more closely than I usually do. It wouldn't make sense to skip most of the game when the challenge is based around using a disgustingly bad gun. No offense, Pooh Bear, I'm sure you guys make great shit. I can't wait to be killed by one day that's wielded by a giant autonomous robot mouse in suspenders. There are a couple locations where the C pistol is effectively guaranteed to be found, but none of them are conveniently close by. They can be found on raiders or randomly in some locations, but random isn't something I can tolerate. My first destination in search of a handgun was the Super Duper Mart. There's one locked in the pharmacy because the pharmacist was a gamer. Also, real quick, the gameplay is probably not super smooth. I recently joined the rest of you in the 21st century by upgrading my iMac to one with an SSD instead of a traditional hard drive. But I had to reinstall Windows on this new computer, and one of the problems I faced was my capture card not working. So I had to go back to OBS, which has f***ed me in the past, and now again in the present, and will again in the future. By the way, I lied. Super Duper Mart was not my destination. At least, not yet. I had no real destination. Rivet City was my failsafe. I hoped that I'd stumble across a sea pistol before I got there, and as luck would have it, a fisherman had one. You know what that means. The feral infesting Willem's Wharf can finally die. I put a few bullets through her brain case. She dropped to the ground like a sack of pudding. I entered her house, took what I wanted, left, and the game did not crash. Take a breath. Breathe in the air. Unless you live on the West Coast, then don't do that. We're entering a new era of mankind. As bad as 2020 has been, we can enjoy the fact that the curse of Grandma Sparkle is over. With my pistol, I entered Super Duper Mart for a training session. This gun, even on the easiest difficulty, is worse than I thought. Critical shots and headshots can help, but you're generally looking at 5 or more shots to kill a simple raider. They can easily take more though. This one took 9 shots. It's almost impressive how truly awful it is. The only saving grace is that 10mm ammo is among the most common in the wasteland, and because the gun is mass-produced cheap bullshit, it's a frequent find in low-income areas. Still wanting to follow the main quest, I entered the metro station. The end of this road I'm on leads to Galaxy News Radio, where a dog supposedly has information about my father. The weak ghouls chewed through ammo like you wouldn't believe. Nearly 25 bullets were wasted on these 4 ghouls. I didn't even try to take down the super mutant, I just let him get swarmed by strangers. That triggered his anxiety, caused a mental breakdown, and he died. Let that be a lesson to you youngsters. Despite not wanting anything to do with the Shrek wannabes, I still made sure to loot all the pretty corpses Cat Club made as they pushed through the destroyed buildings towards GNR. If you couldn't tell by the size of this unit or his name because it's in German, this is the Super Mutant Behemoth, and he is otherworldly strong. 5 headshots with VATS, didn't even take out 1 sliver of his health bar. That's scary. I let everyone else do all the work. Crawled around inside him, looking for treats, met 3 Dog, couldn't convince him to spill his guts, so I did it for him. Except, because I learned nothing, I had no leads. He normally gives you the key to this door, but the dead bastard hid it from me. A lock is impenetrable. I had a plan though. I returned to Megaton, looking for ammo, stim packs, and supplies. Got none of them. Waited outside her house for several days while she resupplied. Bought a second pistol to improve the condition of mine, and began making my way to Rivet City. I had 200 rounds for my weapon, but this is the equivalent of like a handful of shotgun bullets or a dozen hunting rifle shells. Speaking of bullets, I bit one on the way to Rivet City. The Jefferson Memorial's gonna have to be cleared out sometime. Might as well do it now that I've got some ammo to spare. I expected this to be worse than it was, especially after dealing with the raiders earlier. I mean, it wasn't good by any means. Some mutants took 9 headshots to send at God, and don't even get me started on the armored one. The Chinese pistol is better than the BB gun, not only in the amount of damage it does per shot, actually it's not according to the Fallout Wiki anyway, but the pistol fires faster, which makes it the better weapon, even if it's not by much. I entered the memorial with 220 ammo and left with 75, even after finding some ammo in the building. Thankfully, Lucky Harith had several Chinese pistol on his person, allowing me to greatly improve the condition of mine before entering Rivet City to do the same thing again. From there, having listened to Dad's recording of Coral Blue number 10, I traveled to Vault 101 to set off for Vault 112. I might have gone through some more ammo than I would have liked to get there, but I still got there. Entered the simulation, solved the puzzle in the abandoned house, summoned the comrades to help me purge those who thought wrong, told Dad I'd meet him in Sovngarde, and waited several days for the bridge to Rivet City to extend. Conveniently, that was the same amount of time that restocked Flak and Shrapnel, meaning more ammo for your favorite Yellow Bear's handgun. Back at the memorial, I decided to test the waters a bit by executing a few of the scientists who annoyed me with their make-believe facts. Alex Dargan ended his life where his mother spent hers, on a pole. Not long after I flippered the switches, the Enclave arrived to ruin everyone's day. Don't worry about that icon below Fallout 3. The Soldat der Enclave were somehow tougher than I thought, and also not. Like, this took 22 shots to go to sleep if you include the shots I missed. They also have an affinity for violating the laws of in-game physics by dashing towards you and crippling my cranium shell. I had plenty of stim packs because, believe it or not, I did actually plan ahead a little, but it's still annoying. Back at the Rotunda, I cheesed my way inside the purifier, took Daddy's clothes off his dead body, did the same thing to Colonel Autumn because I've got a surprise for him later, embraced the love of Adam, put on Dad's skin, and led the 2 remaining scientists through the rat way beneath Riften. The ghouls, most likely due to my maxed out small gun skill, were easier than the ones I didn't face earlier in the playthrough. With the location of Vault 87 fully ingrained in my head, I set off for Little Lamplight. I wanted to try to avoid using any glitches in this run, ignore me phasing myself through the wall, and killing the main antagonist before you're supposed to. Usually, I'd be sure to take the Child at Heart perk to make getting inside Lamplight easy. However, it requires Charisma of 4, and if you've heard me after movie night in the Mitten Squad Discord, you know that my charisma is well into the negatives. But before entering the Land of Midgets, I stopped by Rivet City, Megaton, and Tenpenny Tower to buy myself as much ammo as I could find, and I got myself a pretty solid amount. I also made sure to hotkey stim packs, a radiation suit, regular armor, Radaway, and Radax to number keys because it's not uncommon for the game to shit the bed after entering Little Lamplight. Much to my surprise, I was able to bring up my Pip-Boy. Notice that I'm not using the fancy tablet one anymore. But this is still a Fallout game, and it crashed. Well, I think that's what happened. I couldn't bring up my gun, not the end of the world, but I didn't really want to be defenseless in Vault 87 again. So I just restart the game. See this screen? I was on this for almost 15 minutes. I couldn't just brute force my way out of the game by shutting down the computer, as that would have corrupted my OBS recording. I won't dwell on this for too long because I have no footage to show for it, but what I had to do was navigate OBS on my second monitor, go into the settings, make a keyboard shortcut for the stop recording button. Mind you, I'm doing all of this with the keyboard because the mouse doesn't work, then stop the recording that way with that shortcut before restarting the computer. This is proof that iMacs are the superior gaming machine. Only the Stadia comes close. After restarting the computer, the problem solved itself, I think. Despite nearly losing myself in my own mind, after Fallout 3 gave me a big bazinga, I, for reasons not even God knows, didn't pull out my gun to attack any of the super mutants. You might think that because I'm me, I'd have a solid understanding of what goes on inside my head, but you'd be wrong. I released Fox to provide a distraction, slipped into something more comfortable, activated the Geek Coffer, didn't accidentally cause an implosion by choosing the wrong option with the Gek. Colonel Pumpkin Spice was alive and well, or his twin brother was. I gathered my gear from the nearby locker and began my escape. I could tell by this guy's glowing orange eyes that he was up to no good, and as the arbiter of all things that might be true, I took it upon myself to end his life. I failed, took out my frustrations on a scientist. Hopefully he was friends with the officer. Emotional pain is worse than physical pain because it leaves scars that can never really heal. Nathan from Megaton was here too. I made sure to take the key to his house so I could pay his wife a visit before I blow up the city. Launched another scientist head into orbit, stuck some bullets in this third one's bullet holster, met President Eden, somehow managed to convince him to destroy the bunker despite not being able to speak the language of the gods. Fox showed up outside the bunker. I was surprised and a little disappointed that he didn't die down in Vault 87 like I'd intended. Back at the Citadel, I was gifted a suit of power armor, was pretty f***ing mad that I told the in charge of Cat Club that I was ready for battle, so I couldn't buy more ammo from Durga. I did give her a parting gift before going on my merry way. As always, the march towards freedom was both uninteresting and filled to the brim with the corpses of feral communists. It could have just been me, but it seemed like Liberty Prime was larger than normal. It might have just been because I was paying attention to this part of the game instead of ignoring it like I usually do. I did, however, catch a glimpse of God. He was a little more disgusting than I thought he would be. In the exact same instance that I paused reality to stare into God's eyes, a wild hand just so happened to be flying over the sea. If rainbows are associated with God in the Bible, they might be, I have no idea. It's fitting that a bloody severed hand in the sky is associated with this monstrosity of a god in Fallout 3. I made sure to become Colonel Autumn before confronting Colonel Autumn. It wasn't as cinematic as I was hoping it would be. In the end, I volunteered Colonel Autumn to go into the Purifier to sacrifice himself. I told Sarah Lyons how I really felt about her, activated the Purifier, and did not beat Fallout 3 with only a Chinese pistol, but I did beat it in a foreign language that I can't understand. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, leave a like. Leave a dislike if you didn't enjoy the video or didn't learn anything. Don't forget to buy the plushie through the link in the video description. Thanks to the Champion tier supporters as well as other channel members for making videos like this one possible. Join the Mitten Squad Discord server through a link in the video description. Follow me on Twitter @Mitten Squad. My name is Paul of Mitten Squad. Have a Colonel Autumn day.